tough Champions League exit. Slow starts in both legs really hurt us, but the performances weren't terrible. On the bright side, we kicked off MLS with a strong 3-2 win over Austin. Attack looked sharp, but they've got to tighten up defensively. Now, big tests ahead with Houston and Seattle away. Need to stay compact, manage a position better, and keep the momentum going. Let's get after it.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 63 of Red Bull KloppBot here on Sean Does FM with the New York Red Bulls. I hope you're doing well and come up day. We're going to play 2 games early on in the MLS season. Hopefully continue our bounce back from getting knocked out in the first round of the CONCACAF Champions League at the end of last week. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. But today, we've got 2 away trips to half-decent teams as we take on Houston Dynamo and the Seattle Sounders, both those teams from over in the Western Conference. But as you can see over in the top right corner off the back of that narrow defeat to Tigres, which unfortunately, as I said, ended our Champions League campaign really before it got underway. We did play our opening game of the MLS season again, conceded 2 goals in a game. So far that's been the theme here early on in this season at the New York Red Bulls. Fingers crossed we can get that sorted out, but to be fair, we did lose Yelmovink, who was the best player in the MLS last season, so maybe that's a hangover from that, the fact our defence is struggling just a little bit early on this season, but thankfully just did enough there to pick up a 3-2 win over Austin FC. A bit disappointing considering this game was at home. We took the lead 3 different times, gave it up twice, but thankfully Wisdom Emmy there in the 92nd minute with a looping header over the goalkeeper who came out, didn't quite get there for Austin and Pedro Runhal. That was the winner for us there to make sure we picked up 3 points from that opening matchday. Stats-wise, would have felt a bit harsh if we didn't win that game in terms of overall shots, but be fair, Austin, a lot of theirs were on target, so be fair, a draw actually probably would have been a fair result from that game, but thankfully just do enough late there thanks to a goalkeeping error to pick up a win. So thankfully our first win of the competitive season here at the New York Red Bulls. Fingers crossed it continues in these next couple of games. It's going to be a bit tough away from home as we take on 2 teams, if we have a look quickly at the season preview, who were expected to be relatively up there in the Houston Dynamo, albeit they've actually dropped down a bit off the back of when we checked this at the end of last week. They're 14th and Seattle in 12th, but to be fair, that's either side of Real Salt Lake, who were the champions of the West last season. So these are 2 teams expected to do pretty decently in the MLS compared to other teams we take on in the early part of this season. First up, we take on the Houston Dynamo. I believe this is a team we took on camera in one of the games last year, as well as Seattle in the last game we played at the end of the league season before getting knocked down in the first round of the playoffs by the Columbus Crew. They opened the MLS though with a 2-0 defeat away to St. Louis. So hopefully we can do something similar here and get off to a much better start to the Supporters Shield than these guys did last season before we got here. But it looks like most of their players are the same in terms of captain, vice-captain as well as key player. That key player definitely is the same there in Luca Langoni, albeit these days he's American. I think last season he might have been Argentinian, potentially a nationality switch there, and indeed that is the case, but I'm pretty sure their captain, Angel Zamudio, was there last season. Indeed, that was the case, as was Jonathan Bagado, and indeed, he's been there a couple of years. So to be fair, that Houston team does look pretty well sealed. Their manager, Pat Noonan, does like a 4-3-3, and he's been there for a little while as well off the back of a stint at St. Louis C. So to be fair, he'll be a bit dirty about that first loss that they did suffer, but fingers crossed our 4-3-3 can get the better of those guys. And off the back of that, we'll take on Seattle. Just go down here and find them in the Western Conference. They must be up a bit further, having picked up a slightly better result on the opening match day where they drew with Atlanta. They'll take on San Jose before they get stuck into that clash against us. They've still got Dean Smith in charge. Robert Veloda is their captain, 28-year-old German. He's been there for a fair while, so I dare say again, quite similar last season. Their vice-captain is Peter Olayinka, 34 years old, so I dare say he might have been there last season. In fact, no, it's his first season here at the Seattle Sounders, so a new player here to the MLS, currently injured, but should be back in time for that game against us. Might miss the one against San Jose, but does look like quite a handy striker, come winger, and their key player, Alessio Zurban, an Italian, who is also in his first season at the club, coming in from Southampton. Also has spent some time at some decent European clubs before that. So to be fair, Seattle looks like they've stacked their squad up quite a bit similar to us going into this new season of the MLS, but fingers crossed we can pick up some decent results here in today's episode and get off to a good start as we look to pick up the Supporters' Shield as well as the Eastern Conference. After we got there for way too much ground to make up for that to be the case here last season, but we have made a couple of roster changes off the back of that CONCACAF episode, seeing as we have to trim our squad down by a couple of players. So it does mean that in the end, we did decide to waive both Gladden, Farfan and give the younger players some opportunities. So it does mean that Joe Apples is actually our backup left back for the remainder of the season. Farfan got waived. Don't think though he got picked up by another club. And also, we did decide to register the likes of Jesse Joyce and Tarek Connor over someone like Justin Glad. So a couple of players that we did waive there, albeit we were able to finally pick up a third choice goalkeeper who was waived by New York City. So a little bit here of an interesting move for Nelson Insfran, but he joins the club as our new second choice goalkeeper coming from the other side of New York. So if he plays, that could make things interesting, especially if it does happen to be a derby. But 34 years old, is Argentinian, but has been here long enough to hold a green card. So it does count as a domestic player. He's a backup goalkeeper. He's a bit better than what we had here previously, and the third goalkeeper who was before registered from our B team, who was a German who took up an international slot and was absolutely rubbish. So we've upgraded there in terms of an extra goalkeeper, but that's all we've done roster-wise off the back of getting knocked out of the Champions League by Bloomin' Tigres. Going over to our squad though, we've got a lot of tired players off the back of that first game. This is a midweek one. I think we're here being set up with a busy start to the season off the back of those CONCACAF games that we did have. So a lot of players on a heavy workload, so fingers crossed, not too many injuries from this game. We'll notice though only a few changes to the team that we usually put out there. It's just that Genesis Antwi as well as Leroy Sané are very, very injury prone on a heavy workload. And also, if we go over to the medical centre, we are still missing Matthias Zanotti with a twist ankle won't feature in either game in today's episode. And that's also the case pretty much the same timeline with MV at left wing with that pulled calf muscle that he suffered during that defeat in that first round of the CONCACAF Champions League. So a couple of first choice players that we are missing for today's episode, but fingers crossed we can pick up some wins away from home in the MLS. But of course, we haven't done a hotspot at either Houston or Seattle so far in the safes. What I did is I spun a wheel before coming back for today's episode, and it landed on Houston's. Before we get stuck into this first game of today's episode, it's time to check out the KloppBot's hotspots. So here's what the KloppBot's found for us here in Houston. And first off, he said no problem finding us any accommodation, but we have picked the highest rated of the three hotels. That would be the Houstonian Hotel Club and Spa. So it does sound like it might be quite nice with a spa and probably a bit of a bar inside as well. Quite elite there for us. With our New York Red Bulls nested on 27 wooded acres, the Houstonian offers a resort-like setting with extensive fitness facilities including multiple pools and sports courts, ideal for team preparation and relaxation. This sounds like an ideal place for us to just chill out when we're not doing the KloppBot's activities. So we'll quickly have a look here at this place that we are staying at. There it looks like there is a lit up tree. I'm not too sure, to be fair, if there's much else going on in terms of photos up the top there. We'll go down a bit further. There's the club. They've got tennis courts. They've got all sorts of, to be fair, lots of activities we can do while we're just staying at our hotel, loosen up the legs before this game where we take on the Dynamo. You can see the hotel there. The accommodation should be quite nice, and also there's a spa as well. You can do your wellness journeys. Going on a bit further, you can get some beautiful Texas elegance, whatever that is. They've got a nice kitchen. Going down further, some of the fellas can get married if they want. They've got a new pickleball complex, which to be fair is taking off over here in New Zealand as well, which is a bit interesting. Apparently, you'll never want to leave, but the KloppBot's going to make us 4 free activities. So this does sound like quite a nice place we're going to. Also, they do some big old barbecue by the look of it. Not too sure actually if that's proper barbecue, but certainly looks like it might be seafood as well. But a big outdoor grill that they do have. All sorts of food, all sorts of spas. That there looks quite nice. And going down further, that looks like it's about it. But obviously, there's a fair bit there at their hotel. It is quite highly rated. Looks like a good spot for us to stay there while we are in Houston. So going down to the KloppBot's free activities. First up, we're in Houston. He's sending us to the Space Center. This one, not too surprising, but of course we're going to visit the Space Center, explore NASA's Johnson Space Center, offering interactive exhibits and behind-the-scene tours that provide an inspiring and educational experience for the team. So we'll see what the website I've found says about this. Now, to be fair, considering that we're a football team getting ready for a game, I think we'll probably do the light speed itinerary here when we are at the Space Centre. So that does involve the Starship Gallery, Independence Plaza, a live show, New Perspectives, and the gift shop. If we were going to stay there for a bit longer, we could have done the NASA tram tour and some other stuff, Mission Mars, and for a full day, you get all sorts. You get a lunch included, and there's all sorts of exhibits and films as well, but I think we need to do the light speed version and get in and out as quick as we can. We'll have a quick look here at what some of these things do entail. There's the Starship Gallery, where they've got lots of robot type of things and also some rockets and lunar rovers that they have sent up previously. Independence Plaza, over there you will find a Boeing type thing, it looks like, so you can check out the Boeing compared to some of their rockets. Going back a bit further, the live show New Perspectives, where if we go down further we can learn what it's like to live in space. And going back, the gift shop, I imagine this will be lots of super expensive shopping just in case the fellas do need to get anything to take home for the families, like shirts or coins or all sorts of other stuff, ice cream sandwiches that are freeze dried. So that's what we're going to check out there while we are at the Space Centre on that quick tour. Next up though, something a little bit different, some glass blowing. To be fair, not too sure if the KloppBot has recommended this so far in one of his hotspots. We're going to participate in a hands-on glass blowing session where team members can collaborate to create unique glass pieces, fostering creativity and teamwork. To be fair, with lots of new faces here at the New York Red Bulls this season, getting that teamwork going might not be the worst thing. Here's the website that we have found. We are making something out of glass. Now, to be fair, I don't know a heck of a lot about how exactly this does work, but it should be quite interesting to see what the fellas do come up with. We'll see who comes up with the best glass football. Perhaps going down you can see there's a glass tile workshop, there is a tech fusing or a full fusing, there's also a glass dish workshop. Going down further, a mosaic, and they also do educational family day stuff. So we'll see which one of those that we do. Hopefully can do a football making competition out of glass or something like that there at the museum in glass while we are in Houston. And to wrap up our time before we take on the Dynamo, we will do some go-kart racing. To be for the KloppBot is a big fan of the go-kart racing at K1 Speed will engage in high-speed indoor go-karting, promoting friendly competition and team bonding in a competitive, thrilling environment. So I'm not too sure actually if we need to do that too much, considering we've got lots of stuff already sports-wise that we can do at our hotel. But here's the website for the K1, and it looks pretty much like most of the other go-kart tracks we've been to, albeit this one does have a bit of an old school looking NASCAR there in the corner, which could be quite cool. That looks like something I used to get in some of my NASCAR Lego sets, I think it was. But going down further on the images, you can drink and eat there if you need to, but mostly we'll do some racing. Hopefully the fellas won't kill each other, no more injuries, and have a bit of fun there before we can go back to the hotel and chill out quite nicely. There's the track there, lots of curves, and there's a bit of other stuff that we can do. But go-karting, some glass blowing, and a Space Centre visit while in Houston. Hopefully that'll get us ready to pick up a win on the road. And here are the team sheets for this first game in today's episode. Hopefully back up that win over Austin against their relatively close neighbours. There are Houston going with the 4-3-3 off the back of that opening day loss to St. Louis. In terms of us, a couple of changes we ran through before. Garcia at right back with Zanotti injured, and aren't we on a heavy workload? Also Robinson comes in for Sane on that heavy workload as well. And of course Birchamus in for the injured MV, but hopefully can make it 2 wins from 2 to start off the MLS season, albeit that's a pretty horrible kick clash. Honestly, Houston are in the all-orange. It looks like we're in the red with the white socks. So this could be a bit interesting trying to figure out which team is which, because it's not too clear, honestly. Just a slight difference, but we probably could have worn white. Might have made things easier. On the attack early, we float a ball in there through Birchamus for Renier, but unfortunately his header goes just wide of that top left corner. But on the front foot early is now at the 10-minute mark. We have a corner, and Wisdom Army will get up and put that one away. Maybe going to be a lot more threatening from set pieces this season. Fingers crossed that is the case, and Wisdom Army will pick up back-to-back goals here in the MLS. That one a lot more convincing than the match winner that we picked up when we took on Austin, and we take a 1-0 lead, albeit now we go down the other end for a free kick to Houston here, who are on the ball. They played that one back there to Vital, goes for their to Ukul. They just knock it about there, those two, before playing it over there to Pineda. Now it goes back there to Bogado. Diouf, we try and put them under pressure. To be fair, doing a lot better here at pressing than we were in those games where we took on Tigres, albeit as I say that, Luki Langoni finds a big gap there down our left-hand side and puts that one away in the top left corner to make it 1-1. So unfortunately, can't hold a lead here for long at the moment at the New York Red Bulls. Hopefully not too similar to that game that we did just play against Austin off camera, where they came back twice before Wisnami grabbed that winner late on. But unfortunately, off the back of grabbing that opener, they make it 1-1, albeit now another highlight here just past 15 minutes in, and we're down the right end, thankfully, off the back of that clearance from Houston. We do get the ball back. Prolani there will fizz that one into the mix, and Molina still looking for his first goal for the club. Unfortunately, that shot does get blocked. Might be a chance here for Houston to do something on the counter-attack, but thankfully some good marking and a good tackle there from Wisdom Army so far, having a good start to this game. That will keep it at 1-1. In another corner we go near post from, and this time Antonio Tikvich will put it away. So as I said, I think set pieces this season, we might be a little bit better from looking at our early form so far here in the MLS. That's a good header there at the near post. That one a bit higher for their goalkeeper, and we make it 2-1, 20 minutes into the first half. And off the back of that busy start, it's been very quiet in the second part here of this first half, albeit as I say that we've got a throw in here late in this half. Hopefully might be able to grab a cushion goal. Pirani here starts to cut inside, plays it over for Nimfasha Berchamus, who puts that one away. So far not missing MV too much there on that left-hand side. Almost created a goal early in this game for Renier, and he puts that one away off the back of the good work here from Pirani. From this throw, Renier gives that one back there to Garcia, and Pirani runs and field Berchamus there, not being marked too tightly, truth be told, and thankfully can beat the goalkeeper there at the near post. Overall, that's a pretty good first half. We were definitely the team on the front, but unfortunately, again, we've been a bit leaky when Houston have been on the attack. With a 2-goal lead, no changes needed. Hopefully, can hold on to it in the second half. And we've waited until just shy of the hour mark for the first highlight here of the second half, and it looks like it might be a long throw in here for Houston. They put that one deep. Somehow we miss out on the ball. Diouf will put that one away. What in the name of Lujo was that? Seriously, that's a really annoying goal to concede. They put that one in there. Berchamus off back of scoring late in the first half. That's pretty poor defence from him as well. As Zinta, we concede off a filthy long throw. The Lujo would be proud, as I said. They make it 3-2. So again, we're quite leaky at the back this season, which is a bit concerning. Early stages might be missing Yalma, I think, as I said, a bit more than I was hoping with those players that we did bring in. But here we'll bring on Antwi for Garcia, going a bit fairly now on a 6.4. Also, Zinta is on a red heart, so Joe Apples can come on for him, as well as Halsawi for Renier on a red heart off the back of the making it 3-2. And going forward a few more minutes, we have got Berchamus now who's dropped down to a red heart. A free kick about to start there for the opposition. Now, we don't have too many options at left wing currently, so Halsawi, we might switch out here to left wing, albeit actually we could bring on Olvera and try Molina as a right wing and see what Halsawi can do out left. That might be the best idea, because the young player we're going to bring on in Aaron Hall, not as good as Olvera. So we're going to make that sub there. Olvera can come on there for Berchamus, as thankfully that does cut out that highlight. Now he's about to make our way to the last 15 minutes. A few players out there who have dropped down to red hearts, but we are going to take off their Cesar on that yellow card for Ryan Lamb with our final sub. Thankfully, still holding on to a 3-2 lead, but again, it's a bit too close for comfort considering how on the front foot we have been in this game. But now we make our way into the last 10 minutes. It's time for us here just slow the pace down a little bit in terms of goalkeeper distribution, and also start to time waste ever so slightly. So fingers crossed that helps us see out the remainder of this game going forward another 5 minutes. And it's probably a good time for us here to up that time wasting even more and drop down our passing directness and our tempo as well. So hopefully that'll help us see out this game. A really good first half. Then we conceded though from that long throw, which did make things interesting there, just shy of the hour mark, but thankfully off the back of that, no highlights, and we hold on for a 3-2 win. So again, a little bit closer than we would like. Here at the back, we're just struggling a little bit, albeit both our centre-backs actually having really good games, really. We did win that game off the back of those 2 set pieces, which Renier got the assist from in the first half. Both the centre-backs getting their heads there on the end of those corners, and thankfully got a goal there just before half-time through Birchmas to pretty much put that game to bed. They did come back, Houston, with that long throw goal, but thankfully just do enough there to hold on for another 3-2 win. So again, we can see 2 goals in a competitive game here at the Red Bulls. Fingers crossed we can stop that when we come back and take on Seattle. And we are back a few days off the back of that win over Houston to take on Seattle again away from home. You can see so far 2 draws for them and also going with a 4-3-3. In terms of us, Utley comes back in at right back, and also Sane comes back in there in the advanced playmaker role. So a slightly stronger team than we did have, it looks like, on paper for that first game today. Fingers crossed we can pick up another 3 points, and that might see us go on top of the Eastern Conference early on this season. And it only takes a minute for the first highlight of this game. Again, we're in the all-red, thankfully Seattle though, in a uniform, which is a lot different there in the green kind of Xbox colours there with the blue trim. But so far we knocked the ball about here from this front. Unfortunately, give it away, but thankfully Sane wins that one back for us. Birchmas there with some nice footwork, but unfortunately skies that shot. Was looking there for goals in back-to-back games. Can't quite hit the target. Still nil-lily. And we go forward to just past the 15-minute mark for the next highlight here of this game. Again, a throw in for us here, but this time on our right-hand side. Play that one back there to Wisdom. Now looking for goals in 3 straight games. The ball over the top there looking for Renier, but unfortunately a bit too deep. And Nathan Baxter, who of course one of the better goalkeepers here in the MLS, will claim that one. They played it out there to, I think that might have been Veloda, gives the ball straight back to Renier, who puts it past Baxter. It's a real shocker, that one from the Seattle defender, and thankfully we make the most of it. Baxter here, as the ball rolls it out there to Veloda, who plays a pass, but Renier is putting him under far too much pressure, goes one-on-one with Baxter, and thankfully beats him there, puts that one into the bottom left corner, and makes it 1-0 to the Red Bulls. Albeit only a few minutes off that opening goal. Now we are down the other end here, just inside of our own half, for a throw-in to Seattle, and so far they do keep hold of the ball. Fingers crossed this time we don't concede like we've done in our last couple of games here, especially in the MLS. But so far been a bit disappointing how we've been able to score goals, but then conceded right off the back of that. So let's hope we don't see it from this highlight. But so far Seattle are keeping hold of the ball quite nicely. They get something going here down the right-hand side. Some good short passing. And somehow there, they do get through our defence. Leroy Sané, for some reason, trying to do some defensive work, which is probably not recommended, but thankfully, Frigerio there comes up with a big save in the corner, and again Frigerio with a nice save there at the near post. Some good chances here for Seattle to make it 1-1, but thankfully Frigerio is saving a couple of our blushes this time. Another corner, but that one does just go over the bar. Seattle, they are threatening, but we're still 1-0 in front. And just about to make our way into the last 10 minutes here of this first half, still 1-1, but good chance here for Seattle from set piece. They went quite close earlier. Thankfully this time we head that one away, albeit they get that ball there back inside the box. A decent chance there for Olayinka, who puts that one past Frigerio off the back of making some really good saves from those couple of highlights off the back of us scoring their opening goal. Can't keep that one out, and again we blow a lead here at the New York Red Bulls this season. It's now starting to become a little bit of a concern, but good dribbling there from Olayinka to put that one away past Frigerio, of course, their new vice captain coming in from a different club for this new season. Stats-wise, to be fair, they have slightly been on the front foot, so to be fair, we probably can't complain too much about a 1-1 draw here at halftime. They've had more shots on target, with a 1 more shot overall, but not quite as efficient. So far, Facundo Molina has just struggled a little bit up front. We'll make one sub here at halftime. Aaron Zenta going a bit fairly on a 6.4, seeing as our players are now playing their third game in a week. It's probably a good idea to take these guys off when they are struggling. So good old Joe Apples, it's still a wonderful name, can come on at halftime, but so far just a bit disappointed in our defence during the whole course of today's episode. 1-1 as we get the second half underway. And we go up to the hour mark, and we're going to take off here for Facundo Molina. As I said at halftime so far, a bit of a slow start here to life at the New York Red Bulls. Luis Oliveira can come on for him, sitting on a 6.4. Half hour left, still 1-1. And a few minutes off there, that previous sub, now it's time for us here to make another as Gabriel Pirani goes down to a red heart, having a half-decent game, but we'll take him off for Daniel Edelman, who's back from injury, off back of missing that first round in the CONCACAF Champions League. We've got a couple of subs left here with our next stoppage, but so far this game is very even, to be fair. Looks like we're getting a few more chances here than Seattle in the second half, but so far haven't been able to put the ball in the back of net. Now both our wingers drop down to red hearts. Birchmas on a 6.4, I'm guessing here we're going to have to bring on Hausawi with our lack of actual left wing options. We are at the moment training him as a left winger without MV. That's a big problem. That injury. Renier is doing quite well on a 7.1 and with a goal. So instead of taking him off, we might take off Sane while he's struggling a little bit. And to be fair, Renier can do a job at left wing, so we might just shuffle things up here for the late stages of this game. Jimenez is the advanced playmaker for Sane, Hausawi at right wing, and Renier to left wing, albeit Leroy Sane actually might not be the worst idea to keep on there, because he could be a decent option at left wing. So maybe that's what we do here. Instead of taking off Sane, we take off Renier. So a bit of a shuffle up here. That's what we're going to do at the moment with that lack of left wing options. That would mean Hausawi can go to right winger where he's a lot more comfortable, and instead it will be Jimenez who comes on for Renier and Leroy Sane goes out left. So just figuring out there what we do without quite as many left wing options as we'd like, but still 1-1 with just over 10 minutes left. And just made our way into the last 5 minutes of this game off the back of that sub where we did make a little bit of a meal of things there trying to figure out who can play left wing, but a corner here that we go far post from, unfortunately. This time Ame can't quite put that one away. Gets it back there though from Jimenez. It goes back to Genesis, aren't we? Coming back in the team for this game and rockets that one into the top left corner past Baxter. Off the back of that, we're going to start to time waste just a little bit, be more disciplined, and also maybe stop running at the defence. That could be something which might be quite useful late on in games where we do have a lead, but so far just doing enough here this season to pick up wins in the MLS. Genesis, aren't we, there with a late strike, so quite similar to what we did against Austin in our first game, but this time from a right back. He gets that ball there on the edge of the box. To be fair, not in a ton of space, but thankfully just gets that one through the hands of Baxter inside of that left-hand upright. We make our way into 3 minutes of added time, and thankfully it looks like we're going to hold on and pick up another narrow win there, 2-1 over the Seattle Sounders, and we off the back of that late goal does get player of the match. But again, just a little bit concerning how as soon as we score a goal, we start to look quite vulnerable here at the New York Red Bulls this season. Fingers crossed some more time with these new players getting used to our system might help out with that. But thankfully, despite the fact we're not looking too convincing, we have still picked up 3 wins from our first 3 games. So that should see us for now stay up near the top of that Eastern Conference, 2 wins away from home against half-decent teams. Capped off there with that late aren't we goal to beat Seattle. So a good start to the new MLS season here at the New York Red Bulls, albeit, as I said before, a little bit unconvincing, conceding goals pretty much straight off the back of scoring them so far here this season. But thankfully, a couple of late goals there in 2 of our first 3 games. In that middle one, we did just manage to hold on against the Houston Dynamo going forward to the Sunday. There are the results from that match day, to be fair. Doesn't change too much. In our conference, we're second. DC United, to be fair, looking quite dangerous early on. 3 games, 3 wins, and a +8 goal differential. So maybe they'll be one of our challengers this season in the Eastern Conference. Also up there this season, New York City. So there could be some interesting matchups coming up here in the Eastern Conference this season with this New York Red Bulls team. But so far, doing okay, off to a pretty good start, and you'd like to think we'll only improve once these players get a bit more use to our system, and also getting back players as well, like Zanotti and MV as well. But I think that will do it for today's episode. If you guys enjoyed those MLS games, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. We'll come back tomorrow. I'll just check out what's coming up, because we do have in April our first game in the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup. Now, they would do expect us to go quite deep in that competition. Of course, when we got here last season, the Red Bulls were already knocked out, so fingers crossed we can have a decent run in that competition, especially off the back of going out so early of that CONCACAF Champions League. But if that tie is against a bit of a weak team, we take on some pretty interesting ones. Before then, we've got 2 derbies, the Philadelphia Union away from home, and I believe that was the Turnpike Derby, before the Hudson River Derby as we host New York City, who, as you saw before, have got off to quite a good start this season. So I think we'll be coming back around mid-April for either that MLS double or the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup game, probably alongside the Hudson River Derby, because I dare say that one a little bit more meaningful to the fans than the one against Philadelphia. But definitely that New York City game alongside either that Philadelphia one or our first game in the US Open Cup. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.